How's it going? My name's Hector Rivera. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about ethical leadership in the field of physical therapy. So to get things started, I just want to define what it is to be a physical therapist. The American Physical Therapy Association defines it as a healthcare professional who diagnoses and treats individuals of all ages, from newborns to the oldest, who have medical problems or other health-related conditions that limit their abilities to move, perform functional activities in their daily lives. So a physical therapist is going to be a clinician who doesn't necessarily diagnose the initial injury, but they are one that's able to make a plan of treatment and a plan of care in order to better one's life from the moment that they see them. Not all injuries are, unfortunately, something that can fully be regenerated from, which is the reason I say that they don't fix every injury, but they do what they can to get you as close to your normal functioning day-to-day life as possible. In terms of leadership styles that work in physical therapy, I'm going to be talking from the perspective of a clinical director, which is somebody who's running a clinic because they're managing their fellow physical therapists while also managing the care of patients. So first, I wanted to talk about what's called distributed leadership. What distributed leadership is it's an empowerment through the ability to give away some of the leadership roles in a company or in an organization. So here it'd be a matter of giving fellow physical therapists roles to really run a clinic as one cohesive unit. If they have a little bit of control in terms of a section of what needs to be run for the organization, there's a lot more buy-in, there's a lot more efficiency, and there's a lot more satisfaction in their job because they feel like their voice matters. A nice thing about it is it kind of combines transformational leadership, transactional leadership, and empowering leadership. Empowering leadership and the idea that we're teaching you what it would take to be at that next step. And you're a decision maker, so you feel like your voice carries some weight to it. In terms of transactional leadership, generally it's do a good job and we give you a reward. Now what's happening is we're still rewarding the good jobs here, but the good job, or the definition of that, is going to be based around the organizational movements that are happening by being a distributed leader's follower. So they're doing their job in terms of the aspects of distributed leadership that you're giving them. And because they succeed at that, you reward them more. In terms of transformational leadership, these are the leaders who provide visions, who express their idealisms. They challenge the status quo and they challenge their workers by stimulating them intellectually. And while all of these things normally happen in terms of how can I build you as a better you, but also move my organization forward, here you see more investment from the beginning by being challenged and listening to the leadership skills that are presented by the clinic director because they have that shared ownership in what's going to happen with each progressive step. On top of that, I think servant leadership is the key to physical therapy. You are giving your all to your patients and your team, and they see that the servant leader is the person who actively listens, tries to understand, and earnestly seeks to aid followers in achievement of their personal, professional, and spiritual goals. This is something that relies on persuasion over charisma and awards, which would be more transformational and transactional leadership. But the servant leader here is going to be the person who's showing that they can humble themselves and they can listen to the person that they're working with, whether it's their colleague or their patient, and take in the information that they're learning to show you that they are here for you. And they build a relationship with the other person to grow as a whole and grow as a cohesive unit, whether that's teaching something to your fellow physical therapists, or it's how can I work with my patient today to make sure that they're getting the most out of my treatment. Now, ethical scenarios that happen in physical therapy. One, with all the changing fundings that happen through insurances, is what happens in a situation where care isn't covered by insurance. This is what's called a point of care allocation, defined by Crow in 2010. It's kind of a situational battle. So do I, give this person treatment and help them feel better now, knowing that they're gonna, grab and get a large bill in the long run, or do I forego any kind of treatment so that I know that their insurance is going to help them out on the back end just down the road? These are situations that happen day to day, and unfortunately, they are unavoidable when it comes to caring for a patient. And where some people might think just run it as a business and take as much money as possible, I think it's important to keep your values and your emotions as part of the decision-making process. You run a business, yes, as a clinic director, but the biggest and main priority there is helping your patients get back to that near normal life that they had before their injury, or anything as close to it as possible. So by keeping your emotions as part of the decision-making process, it really comes down to providing them the information, getting informed consent. And if they feel like they can afford to, pay for that care, then you can help them in the moment and teach them how to get better in the long run with the methods and treatment that you deliver. And if it's something that they can't afford, they know what happens next, and you can refer them to, next steps that will make it affordable and will still give them the best treatment in terms of their own lives without taking away their financial stability down the road. A separate thing would be how to communicate truths to patients and family members. Sometimes there's information that they don't want to hear. They think that a physical therapist will fix it all, and you have to, be the light at the end of the tunnel, even when it's tough information and it's not going to be the exact light at the end of the tunnel that they were looking for. This is what's called an active engagement model, where you actively listen, you reflexively think, and you critically reason. The idea behind this is, how do I, take in the information you're telling me and let you know my next steps and the best outcomes that we can get from them. So in situations, there might not be injuries where we can't see tons of improvement. And unfortunately, there's just limitations to modern science where we're not going to be able to push past that in the present. Maybe and hopefully in the future, yes. But right now, there are limitations to what physical therapy can do. So the best way that we can get around this is going to be being upfront with our patients, giving them a chance to, talk about what it is that they're looking for, but letting them be a part of the decision-making process and give them all the information as to what our realistic goals are going to be. By doing that, research has shown that there's a lot more buy-in from patients, and they really care to come back to physical therapy and do what they can to get the most improvements up until the point they reach that cap. Now, in terms of faith, there's a couple of passages I wanted to touch on. John 3:30, he must increase, but I must decrease. And it kind of goes along with Proverbs 27, 23, 24. Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds, for riches do not last forever, and does a crown endure to all generations. And the ideas behind this is you have to be able to actively listen. You must increase, but I must decrease. You have to be able to, give the empowerment to your fellow leaders and your fellow team and be one cohesive unit. And sometimes that means humbling yourself and being okay knowing that your perfect plan isn't always going to be the only right answer. Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds, whether that's your fellow physical therapist or you're looking to, improve their treatment so that we can help all of our patients, or it's really working with your patients hands-on. Knowing what their needs are allows you to pinpoint what it is that your actions need to be. So by growing together and listening to what they have to say, this is the way that we move forward as one team and really do our best as servant leaders to give back to our fellow employees or give back to our patients and really have them buy in and grow with us. On top of that, I have 2 verses from Colossians. And whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father through him. And whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. And this is really going to be just whatever you do it at your best, and understand that we're in a position where we get this knowledge of the body, specifically the physical therapy, and how we can treat others and make them better in a sense and help them rise up. But we can't do that without the power of the Lord giving us that information and the ability to do it. So really never forgetting that the Lord, whatever you do heartily as for the Lord and not for men. You do it for a greater good. The Lord is going to lead you to that greater good. And by always focusing on that greater good, how am I an agent of change through the words and teachings of the Lord? Can I really become the change agent that I would want to see in my treatments for physical therapy? So it's all incoming and all one moving piece. So that is what I have. I have 2 pages of references there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help out with this. Thank you for sitting through my presentation. I hope you enjoyed.